Welcome back to the Pickleball Addiction podcast. Today I'm going to be talking about a little trip I took to Arizona. It's a couple of weeks back now, and I went really to check out pickleball. I took a friend with me. His name's Chris. I'd say I took a friend with me. Chris emigrated to the States about 10 years ago. We both used to work at Microsoft. That's where we met, became really good friends, and we don't get to see each other so much anymore. So we decided to take a trip and meet up in Arizona. So it's a flight down the coast for him and then a flight across the Atlantic for me. So I got the raw end of the deal on that trip, but of course got to go to Arizona and play some pickleball. So yeah, I just wanted to share kind of my experience with that. We plan to play both outdoor pickleball and indoor pickleball at an air-conditioned facility with a effectively an outdoor court surface. We stayed at the Marriott Desert Ridge, which has 17 floodlit pickleball courts. Like a fantastic venue. It's where the PPA has stopped a couple of times in 2022 and 2023. 2022 and 2023. Played back in February last year, the last time. So it's pretty hot in Arizona in the summer. It was it was up to 120, although actually saying that it had been hot all summer and it cooled down a little bit. It was only I say around 100 degrees whilst we were there, but it had been about 120 prior to that for a lot of the summer. So still very hot. Not humid though, just a really dry heat, effectively out in the desert with the cactuses. But it was, once you kind of got to like middle of the day in the afternoon, it was way too hot to like be trying to play pickleball. So yeah, as long as we got out early in the morning, before 9 a.m, it was bearable. You could play. So we were up at like 6 a.m. Playing in general. My friend was keen to get on the courts as soon as we arrived. So he's never played pickleball before. He didn't even give it a go before we tried. So I gave him his first paddle in his hand, and he had a go at playing pickleball. And yeah, he was keen to get on the court. So we, despite the 11-hour flight I'd had and all the travel outside of that, getting to the airport and from the airport, it was pretty late in the UK by the time we jumped onto the court. And we played a few games of singles and just did some practice hits so that he could kind of get used to hitting a paddle. Because I'd set up and arranged for us to play some locals the following morning. So by the time the end of that, we'd played, I don't know, we must have played for an hour and a half maybe, and it was pretty warm. It was one of the cooler days actually though. There was even some rain in the air, which I think just a few spots, but it's the first rain I think that had all year. So yeah, I thought I brought it with us from the UK, but yeah, well, I think we must have played for about an hour and a half. It was pretty hot, and I was absolutely on my knees and exhausted by the time we finished, just because of the time of night it really was in the UK, the travel that we'd done.
So Mark Mars, it's your first day in Phoenix, Arizona doing some pickleball. What are your thoughts?
Hot, loving it. Too many hours of flights. I'm knackered.
We're going to do it all again tomorrow?
5:30.
It's on.
Hi, Mark Mars here. I hope you're enjoying the show. This podcast is sponsored in part by the Pickleball Addiction store and newsletter. To support the show, please check out the Pickleball Addiction store at pickleballaddiction.co, where we stock a wide range of paddles, balls, nets and other accessories. You can also check out the Pickleball Addiction newsletter at pickleballaddiction.news, where we cover the latest news in pickleball from the UK and around the world. Thanks for your support, and now back to the show. Yeah, so we gave Chris some practice anyway, and the first day we met up with some locals. I'd contacted through Arizona pickleball Facebook group. So if you're going out to the US, something you might want to think about doing, it kind of worked. Managed to find some people that play at the resort regularly that we managed to arrange a game with them. So they were a friendly bunch. We did some standard rec play. I stayed as Chris's partner, as he's still kind of unsure of the rules and the scoring and where to stand and all that kind of stuff. The same challenge that we all face when we're starting out. So he was just more comfortable, like, me pointing to where he should be standing and things like that. But he kind of got into it, and he was enjoying playing. And ultimately, I think you said before, he said, "No, it's okay, as long as we don't play pickleball all the time." And I was like, "Well, yeah, I'd like to play all the time, but of course." But saying that, he wanted to play as soon as we arrived. And I think we played. I was only there for 5 nights. I think we played almost played almost every day, if not every day. I think the last day when we were flying home, maybe we didn't. But I think apart from that, we played in some capacity pretty much every day. So the courts were amazing, as you'd expect at the Desert Ridge. Proper marked out asphalt courts with without any other lines to get in the way. And that would have been the first time that I played on any such courts if it wasn't for the English Open, where they had roll-out courts. That was my first time of playing on dedicated pickleball courts. But this was outside on asphalt. Again, it's kind of a different experience, and it was great. It was great fun. I mean, what I found is, the balls get really scuffed up on that surface, which I hadn't really experienced or noticed before playing indoors on a gym, because they just don't they look the same from when you start the game from when you end the game. But yeah, the balls get scuffed up like real quick. So it's, that was kind of something I observed. So playing outside was hot, but it was fun. It was real fun. Like it was. I don't want to take away how much fun it is, but there was some things about playing outside which just, I expected that to be like the peak, the top of experience of playing pickleball, playing outside, playing in the sunshine. But there was some challenges. There wasn't really much wind, but when there was wind, you definitely noticed it. It would move the ball around, and just playing outside, with the sun in the air, with the lobs and volleys and stuff, you'd end up, the sun would sometimes get in the way. It would be quite bright. I had sunglasses on generally, if I remembered them. But playing outside wasn't as great as I thought. Now, don't get me wrong, these courts were amazing. It was best experience playing on those. But yeah, it was just a little bit different to what I expected. But that takes me, I guess, nicely into playing on the indoor courts. We went to a facility in Gilbert, Arizona, called the Pickleball Backyard. This was a chance find, really, from talking to Cedric on the Franklin stand at the English Open. He and his family recently moved to Arizona from Utah to set up the Pickleball Backyard facility, having already run a similar facility in Utah. Cedric's son, Leo, is a frankly sponsored junior player. So Chris and I met up with them at the Pickleball Backyard, and fresh from their trip back from a PPA tournament, I think it was in Utah. So they had something like an 8-hour drive. They had planned to return a few days earlier, and it just kept getting delayed. So they pretty much turned up straight from Utah, an 8-hour drive to play a few games with us, which I really appreciate. Them, making the effort to do that. But to be honest, the enjoyment of playing pickleball at this facility was even better than the outdoor courts at Desert Ridge. The facility had only been open 6 to 8 weeks, so everything was like brand new. The courts were pristine and perfect. They played great. Everything about the indoor courts just felt so much better. It was hard to put a finger on really why, but as I say, the courts were pristine. There's a really true bounce. It just all came together. It just kind of makes sense being indoors with these great facilities. So yeah, that's what we did. I think the Pickleball Backyard, it's a membership club. So you pay a monthly membership, and then you pay for courts. I think you can just turn up actually as well, and you pay a guest price. But if you're a member, that's either cheaper, or I think the top plan it's free. Thanks to Cedric for covering the costs for me and Chris to go and play there. Very nice of him to do that as well. Yeah, I would absolutely recommend, if you're in Arizona and you get a chance, to head down to the Pickleball Backyard. It's 6 courts. It was really busy. we were there during the day on a weekday, and it was just packed. But you know, you can go ahead and kind of book in advance and make sure you get yourself a court. But you know, it was nice playing because it was cooler, of course, in the air-conditioned environment, and just overall, it was fantastic, and just like really opened to my eyes to the potential for facilities that we just don't have, like in the UK at the moment. You know, everyone still in the UK is playing on badminton courts generally. There's a few outdoor courts popping up, but not many, and mostly are all kind of you know, playing on badminton courts, and it's a totally different game altogether. And going back to playing on badminton courts is always disappointing, having, you know, gone to another court with an outdoor surface. But that's what we're living with at the moment. We're a few years behind the US, but you know, as we know, pickleball is growing and it's coming. So, Chris, having never played pickleball and not really showing an interest in playing pickleball, in fact, maybe even slightly mocked pickleball as being an old person's game, before going, you know, following our trip, he purchased some paddles for himself and his family, and now they're regularly on the hunt for vacant pickleball courts in Seattle. So that's where he lives now, and pickleball courts are hard to come by. You know, there's a shortage in the US in general. So he's telling me that he has to drive around a few different courts just to find one that's vacant and available that he can kind of use. So is he an addict yet? Maybe. I'll try and get him onto the show maybe sometime, and maybe we'll talk through one of the matches that we played, and maybe have a watch along, and just talk about the trip as well and his experience from somebody who's never played pickleball before, but is now playing pickleball with his family. So another one converted. So I'm gonna just put on here now a match to watch through. I haven't seen this match since we played it. I don't remember the result. So there's a few that we recorded whilst I was there, but I figured I could put this one on, and we could just have a little watch along. I always enjoy watching pickleball games and pickleball matches, regardless of who they are and what they are. It's just, you know, that's how it is. Just enjoy watching pickleball. Yeah, so overall, it's a great trip. Only spent 5 nights there, so jet lag on the way back was fun. You know, I had a flight at 6 p.m. in the US, and then a 10-hour flight back. So, you know, by the, you know, time I arrived in the UK, it was the morning in the US, and you know, hadn't been asleep for 24 hours, and then had like a, you know, hour and a half drive home. So that was fun. But, you know, would I go again? Yeah, absolutely. I probably want to try somewhere else in the US where pickleball is popular. Maybe not go at such a hot time of the year to a hot location. The resort we went to was actually pretty quiet. It's kind of a family resort, but I think the school's just gone back in the US. They go back a little bit earlier than us in the UK. So it was all pretty quiet, not much going on. So, you know, generally when we weren't playing pickleball, we was around the pool. Did a few things in town, went to a few speakeasy bars in the evenings, but generally we spent time bobbing around the lazy river or sitting on a sunbed, drinking some cocktails whilst we weren't playing pickleball. So that's about it for the trip to Arizona. As I say, it's great fun. Highly recommend it if you get the chance. Those locations I mentioned are fantastic. But at this point, I'll close it off for the podcast listeners. But if you want to catch the rest of the podcast and watch the match, I'm currently playing on the YouTube channel. Then you can go ahead and check out the link in the description of this podcast. And if you like, you can go back and watch the match. But for now, for podcast listeners, thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time. So I haven't seen this back, as I say, so far, but so far it looks like I'm heavily relying on Leo to bail me out of situations. Oh, missed the dink. Missed another one. Guess I might have picked the wrong video to show, right? So at this facility, they've got 6 courts, as I mentioned. One of them has just got a whole lot more space, like a championship court. I think they call number 2 over there a championship court as well, because it's just got a little bit more space. But court number 1 is, yeah, there's definitely plenty of space around the edge. It's pretty much they made the best use of the space that they have there, and there wasn't really room to fit in 2 courts there. I think they just made that the bigger court. Another one into the net from me. I hope he gets better before the end of the match. Okay, Leo's human too. Oh God, didn't get into the net that time, but long. So I do that too often. Hit the ball long. Oh my. Okay. If we lose, this is my fault. 5-1-1. Oh my gosh. I think that was in. So. Yeah, 5-1-2. Cedric on the floor.
Hey, thank you for letting me play some extra.
Ugh, another one that's too long. I do that a lot on serves as well. Oh, that's better. Okay, now we're going. Now we're cooking. That one was going out. Oh, yeah, there it is again. I think I need to talk. That's my worst shot. Like where the ball's like not over your head, not below your waist. Ugh, but it's kind of shoulder height. So often I just swipe at it and it goes long. And I don't really know what I'm doing wrong, but I do that. That height of ball, I just do that so often. So maybe I need to talk to Sam Bassford from a couple of episodes ago. Ask him what I'm doing wrong. Another one into the net from me. Not looking pretty. Good shot by Leo down the middle there. Three, 7, 1. Okay. I might have to delete this part. How many times I've hit it into the net? Oh, great shot. Yeah, I popped it up too high there. I think I just said I'd change my mind. That's better. Seven, 5. Make it 8, 5. Oh, I think that was in. Great shot. Out there. Oh, that's better. 7, 8. Bit of a comeback now. And finally some good shots. Defensive reset there. Happy with that as well. Oh no. I remember that now. So the lob was coming over, Leo said to leave it, and I just half went for it, half didn't, just left the paddle dangling and ended up not doing anything with it. So I think the same thing happened in a few shots time, and Leo says to leave it, and I don't leave it again, but this time I actually just hit it, redeemed myself a little bit. Okay, now we'll bring it together. There you go. That was Leo calling for it again, but managed to get that one down at the feet. Good shot, Leo. You can see there's a dent in the wall on the right hand side of the video there. That's just there was a couple of those that they needed to fill in from where people just stumble back into the wall. So. That's it. It's a win. Okay, so I think we'll wrap it up there. May have a few more videos to share of some of the games we played. But thanks, video viewers, for tuning in. And got some great podcasts coming up with some people names that you'll recognise. So I'm really looking forward to that. So if you haven't hit the like or subscribe button yet, then do so, and I'll catch up with you in the next one.